The galaxy rejoiced. After millennia of rising threats, after centuries of witnessing the insatiable expansion of humanity across the stars, the ultimate weapon had been deployed. The cataclysm was swift, absolute, and final. Earth, humanity's cradle, the heart of their empire, was erased from existence. No warning, no escape. The collective might of every galactic power came together to make sure it was permanent. A single, catastrophic pulse erased all traces of life, leaving nothing behind but the fading echoes of their triumph. The cry of victory resonated across the alien factions, their once bitter rivalry forgotten in the wake of what they considered to be the galaxy's greatest achievement. Humanity, the Deathworlders who had once dared to challenge the entire galaxy, was no more. But in the cold, silent void of space, one ship drifted, a relic of a world that no longer existed. Its sole occupant, a man who had never even stepped foot on Earth's surface, stared out into the nothingness where his home planet used to be. He was an elite soldier, trained for warfare beyond what any alien race could fathom, a weapon designed for survival even in the most hostile of conditions. And now he was alone. Captain Elias Westwood had never known peace. His life had been shaped by conflict, his destiny forged in the heat of battle. But this, the complete annihilation of his people, was a wound deeper than any scar he had earned. It wasn't just the loss of a planet. It was the eradication of a species, the destruction of an entire civilization, and the death of all that he had ever known. And yet, he wasn't dead. He wasn't gone. He was going to make them pay. They thought they had erased humanity. They thought that one final blow would silence the human race forever. What they didn't realize was that humanity's strength wasn't in numbers, but in its refusal to be forgotten, in its ability to rise from the ashes. Elias had been off-world when the galaxy's greatest conspiracy unfolded. A simple mission, a simple assignment, to engage in a diplomatic meeting with an outlying colony. By the time he returned, Earth was a smoldering memory. There had been no warning, no time for the human fleets to defend. Earth was reduced to dust before any warning signal could even reach his ship. The alien alliances, previously torn by their differences, had put aside their enmities to deliver the death blow. They called it a necessary act, a way to remove the dangerous, unpredictable force that humanity had become. They believed the galaxy would be safer without them, but that belief would cost them dearly. Elias clenched his fists, feeling the steady hum of his ship beneath him as it slipped silently through the void, unseen and undetected. He had spent years training, planning, and preparing for this moment. Every human life lost, every soul extinguished in that instant of destruction, fueled him now. He was the last of his kind. The galaxy had erased humanity from existence, but they had made one critical mistake. They had left him alive. A cruel smirk played across his lips as he adjusted the course of his ship. His plan was simple: burn everything they had built, destroy their colonies, tear apart their fleets, and make sure that no corner of the galaxy felt safe. One by one, he would strike down the architects of this destruction, showing them that humanity, even in death, was a force to be reckoned with. He had no illusions about what this would cost him. He would be hunted. Every alien race that had participated in the genocide would come after him, but he had no intention of hiding. They had underestimated humanity once before, and they would pay the price for it. His revenge wouldn't be swift, and it wouldn't be easy, but it would be relentless. Elias powered up his ship's engines, setting a course for the nearest alien stronghold. He would make them regret their decision to erase humanity. He would make them feel every ounce of pain that had been inflicted on his species. And when the galaxy looked back on what he had done, they would finally understand the true meaning of human defiance. For Elias Westwood, the war had just begun. They thought they had won. The galaxy's greatest minds had worked together to eradicate humanity, to stamp out the threat they had feared for centuries. Yet here, in the depths of space, one human remained, a single warrior, born of the very species they had sought to destroy. And he wasn't just surviving. He was rising. Captain Elias Westwood had no time for grief. His anger was too fierce, too raw, and his purpose too clear. He wasn't the last hope of humanity. He was its fury incarnate, and he would make sure the galaxy felt every ounce of it. In the quiet darkness of his ship, Elias honed his mind, sharpening his resolve. The war had already begun in his mind, every move calculated, every strike meticulously planned. But it wasn't just about revenge, it was about sending a message. Earth might be gone, but humanity's will could not be erased. He wasn't just another soldier with a vendetta. He was the embodiment of human defiance. Each day he spent in the void, each enemy ship he destroyed, he carved a deeper scar into the alien empires that had killed his world. The galaxy's leaders thought their collective force was enough to bring humanity to its knees, but they had underestimated one thing. Humans never stayed down for long. Elias began his campaign quietly, striking against the outlying alien colonies, their weak points, their supply lines. There was no grand declaration of war, no rallying cry to rally the galaxy to his cause. The warrior worked in shadows, dealing death from the void, ensuring that the galaxy knew nothing about the hand of vengeance that was already reaching out to strangle it. The first blow was always the hardest. His ship, small and fast, was built for stealth, designed to be a ghost in the night. He navigated it with the precision of a surgeon, using his years of military training to outmaneuver enemy fleets before they even knew he was there. Each mission was an orchestra of destruction, silent, calculated, and efficient. The first victory, a small but significant raid on an alien freighter carrying supplies for a galactic warship fleet, was enough to send a ripple through the galaxies. When the alien factions discovered the ship's wreckage, they found something far worse than the loss of resources. It was a symbol. The message was clear. Humanity had not only survived, but it was coming for them. Word of a lone human warrior striking from the shadows spread through the galaxies, fueling the whispers of fear among the alien races. They had believed that humanity was a primitive, expendable species, destined for extinction. Yet here was one man, one human, proving them wrong. As Elias pushed forward, the fear of humanity's return spread. His attacks grew bolder, his targets more significant. Alien commanders, once safe in their fortresses, found their fleets crippled by unseen strikes. Colonies thought to be invulnerable fell to his hand, one after another. There was no pattern, no rhythm, only a relentless assault that left his enemies guessing, desperate to find him before it was too late. The warrior's tactics were precise. He knew the enemy's weaknesses, their politics, and their fears. While the galaxy's empires scrambled to find him, Elias had already anticipated their moves. He was always one step ahead, a shadow they could never catch. Every victory, no matter how small, was another crack in the illusion of the galaxy's safety. They called him the Ghost of Humanity. The name spread across every known star system, whispered in fear and disbelief. A single human was undoing centuries of work, erasing the supposed peace the aliens had fought so hard to create. But Elias wasn't done, not by a long shot. This was only the beginning. The galaxy had erased Earth, but Elias Westwood would make them regret it for the rest of their existence. The galaxy's celebration of humanity's demise had turned to panic. What had begun as isolated skirmishes quickly escalated into a full-scale nightmare for the alien empires. Elias Westwood was no longer a shadow. He was a force, a storm that tore through the galaxy with a fury none had expected. And he was far from finished. His methods were precise, relentless, and brutal. There was no mercy. The human warrior struck at the heart of the alien strongholds, targeting their most prized possessions, their leaders, their power. Every attack was carefully planned, every victim chosen with a single goal in mind, to remind the galaxy of one undeniable truth. Humanity was not gone, and it was never going to be forgotten. Elias was no longer just fighting for revenge. He was dismantling the foundations of the galaxy's order, piece by piece. Each new target brought its own terror. An alien warship here, a colony world there, a research station devoted to human eradication. The alien leaders, once united in their collective hatred of humanity, now found themselves scrambling, each faction pointing fingers, accusing others of failing to predict the human onslaught. The strikes were becoming bolder. His ship, now outfitted with weaponry capable of shredding even the most fortified of alien defenses, cut through fleets like a blade through paper. No corner of the galaxy was safe. Every spaceport, every trade route, every remote outpost became a target. Elias was everywhere, but nowhere. His attacks were sudden, without warning, and always devastating. Soon, entire star systems were in chaos. Alien merchant fleets were losing ships with each passing day. Strategic military outposts, once considered untouchable, fell one after the other. The higher-ranking members of the Galactic Councils were terrified, each race now facing the reality that they could no longer hide behind their political alliances. They had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity. And yet, Elias wasn't interested in conquest. He didn't want to control the galaxy. He wanted to make them understand the cost of their decision. Each strike was a message, a declaration of vengeance wrapped in the cold vacuum of space. But as his campaign escalated, the aliens had no choice but to respond. A war they feared was coming. The galaxy had united to kill humanity. Now, that same unity would be tested as they fought to survive the consequences of their own actions. The chaos brought about by Elias's strikes forced the alien factions to reconsider their alliances. Former enemies began to work together, pooling resources and knowledge in an attempt to stop the human warrior. But it was already too late. The fear had taken root too deeply. Commanders who once reveled in their superiority over humans now found themselves haunted by the growing legend of the ghost of humanity. Every encounter was a gamble, and every victory Elias claimed only fueled the terror. There was no pattern to his attacks, no central hub to track, no territory to control. The warrior didn't fight for territory. He fought for destruction. And the galaxy's stability was slowly slipping away. Alien leaders began to meet in secret, discussing the unthinkable. Was this human alone? How could one soldier bring entire fleets to their knees? How could one individual dismantle the fabric of their vast, secure empire? No matter the answers they arrived at, there was one undeniable fact that hung over every conversation. Elias Westwood was no myth. He was real, and he was unstoppable. In the far reaches of the galaxy, a sense of dread began to take root. The mighty had been humbled. The untouchable had been touched. The question now was no longer if humanity could rise again, but what it would take to stop it. And Elias Westwood had only just begun, deepening the terror he's instilling in the galaxy's leadership. The galaxy had been blind. For all their intelligence, their strategies, their vast empires, the aliens had failed to see the one truth that Elias Westwood had uncovered. Humanity's extinction had not been an accident. It had been a calculated move, engineered by forces far greater and more dangerous than the councils that had celebrated Earth's destruction. As Elias hunted down the remnants of those who had once mocked humanity, the veil began to lift. In the wreckage of a captured warship, he found the first clue, a decrypted transmission, long thought buried. The message was brief, but its implications were devastating. The true architects of Earth's annihilation were not the galactic empires, but a shadowy collective known only as the Ascendants. They had manipulated the councils into acting, stoking the fires of fear and xenophobia that led to humanity's destruction. And their plan went far beyond simply erasing one species from existence. The Ascendants were a clandestine group of ancient races, operating behind the scenes of galactic politics. Their true purpose was not peace, but control over the entire galaxy. They had been quietly orchestrating the downfall of any species they deemed a threat to their dominance. Humanity, with its potential for rapid expansion, was seen as the next rising power. They feared that the human spirit, the drive for survival, would eventually challenge their reign. Elias's blood boiled as the truth settled in. The galaxy's leaders had been pawns in a game much larger than they'd realized. They had been used, manipulated, and discarded. But now, Elias was going to take the fight to the true enemy. The Ascendant's secret weapon, a device capable of wiping entire star systems off the map, was hidden in the heart of their stronghold, a heavily fortified station deep within an uncharted sector of space. The weapon's power could reshape the galaxy, making it impossible for any species to rise against them again. But Elias would not let that happen. He would tear their foundation apart, one piece at a time. Elias had always been a step ahead of his enemies, but now, with this new knowledge, he was unstoppable. The alien leaders who had once feared him now seemed insignificant in comparison to the true threat that loomed over the galaxy. It wasn't just a matter of vengeance anymore. It was a matter of survival for every sentient species in the galaxy. The warrior's tactics shifted. No longer would he waste time hunting down minor targets. Now every action, every strike, was aimed at the Ascendants. He began infiltrating their supply lines, severing their communication networks, and striking at their hidden bases with the precision of a surgeon. The attacks were swift, ruthless, and without mercy. The Ascendants' network of power was crumbling before their eyes, and they had no idea who was behind it. Elias knew that it wouldn't be long before they realized the truth. The Ascendants would not be content to remain in the shadows forever. They would retaliate. They would come after him with everything they had. But he was prepared. The warrior had nothing left to lose. He made his way to the outer rim of the galaxy, where the Ascendant's last secret stronghold awaited. As he closed in, the enormity of the task before him hit him all at once. He was about to confront the true power behind Earth's destruction, an enemy that had been in control for millennia, unseen and unheard. It was a confrontation that could either save the galaxy or doom it forever. But there was no turning back now. The true war had begun. And this time, Elias Westwood wasn't just fighting for revenge. He was fighting for the future of every living being in the galaxy. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. The Ascendants, for all their centuries of hidden power, had underestimated Elias Westwood. Their web of control was vast, but not invincible. And as he descended upon their last stronghold, the battle for the galaxy's future was about to reach its apex. Elias's ship cut through the blackness of space, its sleek form barely a blip on the radar of the Ascendant's advanced defense systems. His target was clear, the central command facility of the Ascendant faction, hidden within an asteroid belt in the uncharted sectors of the galaxy. It was here in the heart of their empire that their ultimate weapon, the one capable of reshaping entire star systems, was housed. The stakes couldn't be higher. If Elias succeeded, the Ascendants would be shattered, their iron grip on the galaxy broken. If he failed, the weapon would be unleashed, and everything he had fought for, the memory of Earth, the last breath of humanity, would be wiped out once more. As he approached the facility, Elias felt the weight of what was about to unfold. This wasn't just a mission. It was the culmination of everything that had driven him since that fateful day when Earth had been erased. The lives of his species, the lives of billions, hung in the balance. The fate of the galaxy rested on his shoulders. The facility loomed before him, a fortress of steel and technology. The Ascendant's defenses were formidable, but Elias had anticipated their every move. He had infiltrated their communications, sowed seeds of doubt among their ranks, and now, with a flick of his wrist, he activated his final assault. Blinding bursts of light erupted as Elias's ship unleashed a barrage of weapons, tearing through the outer defenses. The asteroid field, once a hidden shield, now became a battleground as enemy ships rose to defend their stronghold. But Elias was ready. His tactics were flawless, his aim true. Each strike was surgical, each move calculated. The Ascendant fleet, though powerful, was disorganized and panicked. They had never anticipated a lone human warrior striking at their very core. Their leaders scrambled to mount a defense, but it was too late. Elias was already inside. He infiltrated the central command station, cutting down guards and slicing through security systems with brutal efficiency. His every step was a reminder that humanity, though scattered and broken, had the power to rise and destroy what it could not conquer. In the heart of the facility, Elias finally came face to face with the Ascendant leader, the one who had orchestrated the genocide of humanity, the architect of Earth's destruction. The alien, tall and imposing, stood before him, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You," the Ascendant sneered. "You really think you can stop us?" Elias didn't answer. There was no need for words. With a single motion, he launched a devastating strike, breaking through the alien's defenses. The two clashed, their weapons sparking with energy, the very air around them crackling with the intensity of their battle. The Ascendant was powerful, but Elias was driven by something stronger: rage, loss, and a singular purpose. As they fought, the warrior's mind never wavered. He wasn't just fighting for revenge. He was fighting for the future, for the chance that humanity could once again take its rightful place among the stars. With a final swift motion, Elias drove his blade through the Ascendant's heart. The alien gasped, its glowing eyes dimming as it fell to the ground, defeated. Elias stood over its body, breathing heavily, the weight of the moment settling in. But there was no time for rest. The Ascendant's weapon was still functional, and it needed to be destroyed. Elias moved quickly, planting explosives at key points in the station's infrastructure. The countdown began. As the facility shook, Elias made his escape, his heart pounding in his chest. The weapon was no longer a threat. The Ascendants were no longer a threat. The galaxy was free. But there was still one question that lingered. What would the galaxy become now that humanity had returned? Elias didn't have the answer. But he knew one thing: humanity was back. And this time, no one would erase them again. The galaxy was never the same. In the wake of Elias Westwood's final strike, the once unshakable foundation of the Ascendants crumbled into ruin. The secret weapon that had threatened to annihilate entire star systems was now nothing more than a pile of debris. Their hidden empire lay in ruins, and the galaxy was left to pick up the pieces. But for Elias, there was no celebration. The war was over, but the cost of victory weighed heavily on his shoulders. He stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out into the infinite blackness of space. The stars, once a symbol of hope for humanity, now felt cold, distant. Earth was gone. The majority of his people had been wiped out in an instant. And yet, despite the annihilation, despite the loss, there was still something deeply human about what he had done, something that had survived in the darkest corners of the galaxy. Elias hadn't just avenged Earth. He had reignited the spark of resistance, the fire of survival, that made humanity unique in the universe. No matter how many times they were knocked down, no matter how many empires tried to erase them, humans could rise again. And they would. The galaxy had learned that the hard way. But Elias knew that the destruction of the Ascendants didn't fix everything. It didn't heal the wounds of a shattered species. And it certainly didn't bring back those who had been lost. He couldn't undo the years of pain and suffering, the souls extinguished in an instant. Revenge might have been sweet, but it couldn't replace what was gone. Still, there was a sense of closure, a finality to the events that had played out. The galaxy's greatest threat had been defeated by a single human warrior, one who had refused to be forgotten. And now, as Elias gazed out at the stars, he understood something. The future wasn't just about vengeance. It was about rebuilding. The galaxy had seen humanity's wrath. It had seen humanity's capacity for destruction. But it had also seen something more. It had seen humanity's resilience. And that was something no empire, no matter how ancient, could ever take away. Elias's thoughts turned to the future. What came next? He knew he couldn't rebuild the world on his own. The fight for survival had taken its toll. But there were others out there, survivors scattered across the galaxy, waiting for a chance to reclaim their place in the stars. It was time to find them, to unite them, and to build something better, a future where humanity could thrive once again. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy. The galaxy had changed, but so had humanity. The warrior, who had been the last of his kind, was now the leader of something greater. The fires of war had tempered him, but they had also forged a new purpose. His mission was no longer just about revenge. It was about hope, about the chance for a new beginning. As his ship glided through the void, Elias couldn't help but feel that humanity was on the edge of something monumental. The ascendants were gone, but the galaxy was vast. There would always be new threats, new challenges. But one thing was certain: humanity was not a species to be erased. Not ever again. And with that thought, Elias Westwood turned his ship towards the unknown, ready to lead humanity into a new era. The stars would be their future, and this time they would carve out a place among them. People.